Okay, if you're building a business while still working a 9 to 5, I need you to listen up. This isn't just another talk about productivity hacks. This is a strategic deep dive into your single most valuable asset. And it's an asset you are probably just giving away. We are talking about your peak energy. Let's just park on this for a second. This right here is the core truth we're going to unpack. And look, this isn't some fluffy, motivational platitude. It's a fundamental law of building anything that matters. Your dream, your venture, it can't be built on fumes. It demands the absolute best of you. And that best is a finite resource you have to decide how to deploy. Does this sound familiar to you? You wrap up a long day at the job you're trying so hard to leave. You finally sit down to work on your real dream, and you've got nothing left. You're exhausted, mentally fried. This is the paradox so many founders are trapped in, trying to build this massive, life-changing future with only the scraps of energy left over at the end of the day. It's a strategic pitfall, and honestly, it's almost designed to keep you exactly where you are. So let me tell you about a client of mine. She was absolutely convinced she just lacked the discipline to be a founder. Every single night, she'd sit down, try to work on her business, and just feel this incredible weight, this inability to focus. So what was her diagnosis? A personal flaw, a lack of motivation. But what if that diagnosis was completely, totally wrong? Well, it was. Her diagnosis was wrong. What she saw as a personal failing was actually a strategic error. See, the problem wasn't a lack of discipline at all. It was a classic case of strategic energy mismanagement. This wasn't about willpower. It was about resource allocation. She was mismanaging her most critical asset. Let's be really precise here. Trying to build your business on leftover energy isn't just hard, it is a fundamental strategic failure. Think about it. You are taking your highest priority, highest value goal, your freedom, and you're assigning your absolute lowest quality resource to get it done. It's like trying to build a skyscraper with wet sand. Progress is always going to feel slower than it should. And this brings us to the core concept we need to talk about, the energy deficit. This is the state you're in when your best mental clarity, your sharpest focus, that peak brain power, is spent on the very job you want to make obsolete. This creates a kind of debt that your future business is then forced to pay, and your mission, as a founder, is to eliminate that deficit. Here is the crucial mental shift you have to make. Stop managing your available time and start managing your available energy. Time, it's just a block on the calendar. It's a commodity. An hour at 9 p.m. is the same 60 minutes as an hour at 9 a.m. But energy, your peak cognitive state, that is a strategic asset. That's the multiplier that determines the impact of every single minute you invest. This illustrates the point perfectly. Let's say founder A works for an hour at 10 p.m., totally wiped out and unfocused. Founder B works for that same hour but at 7 a.m., when they're sharp and clear-headed. Same amount of time invested, right? But the output is going to be worlds apart. Who actually made progress? The founder who aligned their peak energy with their most important work. That founder doesn't just win, they create an insurmountable advantage over time. So how do you actually fix this? You implement what we call the peak energy principle. It's a simple 3-step framework. First, you audit. Stop guessing. For the next 3 days, just pay attention. When is your mind the sharpest? Second, you dedicate. You take that one peak hour and you assign it, you dedicate it to your business. And third, and this is the most important, you protect it. That hour becomes sacred. It is non-negotiable. It belongs to your future, not your day job. And that's it. 1. We're not talking about finding 5 extra hours in your day. This entire strategy, this whole game, hinges on you identifying and then fiercely defending one single hour, your absolute best hour, the one where you operate at peak capacity. This isn't about working more. It's about making 1 hour so ridiculously effective that it dramatically shortens your path out of that 9 to 5. You know, once you make this shift, when your best energy finally starts fueling your future, momentum stops being this thing you have to force and grind for. It just becomes inevitable. Progress starts to compound, seemingly on its own. The tasks that felt impossible suddenly feel manageable. And leaving your job? It transforms from some distant dream into an active, achievable plan. So, if you're feeling that weight right now, that sense that building this thing is just too hard, I want you to remember this. The problem is rarely your ambition, I promise you. Before you start questioning your dream, question your energy strategy. That heaviness you feel, it's often just the friction of being misaligned. So let's end with the only question that really, truly matters. I want you to take an honest look at your day. Where does your best hour actually go? Right now, at this moment in your life, is your peak energy building the future you want, or is it building a future for someone else? The answer to that question, well, that's going to determine everything.